Hello there, welcome to Saberjaw Gaming, where we always take the high ground, and welcome to Star Trek Resurgence Part 2. For those that don't know, this is a Telltale style game by the same people that made the Telltale series, based within the Star Trek universe. So if you're a Star Trek fan, this will probably seem quite familiar to you. If you are not, you won't have a bloody clue what's going on. But that is okay. That is okay. We can still enjoy ourselves, can't we? So, quite interesting. This is going to be, drum roll, my last stream as a 44-year-old. Yes, it is my birthday tomorrow. I might actually even try and fit in a birthday stream, but this one will be this last one with me at this age. But that's not what you're here for. You don't care how old I am. You don't care. Doesn't matter. Nor should it, by the way. Let's get on to the Star Trekking across the universe. Nice ship, by the way.
Approaching the rendezvous point outside Atari space.
Helm, bring us out of warp.
Dropping to impulse.
Ionic interference surging, Captain.
Shield integrity holding. We can take it.
We are at the correct coordinates to meet the shuttle.
Commander Rydek, find us our diplomat, if you will.
Aye, Captain. Let's reduce the noise. Filter out environmental signals. I can manually tune what's left for Federation signal types.
There we go.
I've located the shuttle.
Opening comms.
On screen.
Shuttle to Resolute. Shuttle to Resolute. Debris field. Lost maneuvering. Losing.
I can't get it any clearer.
Hello, Muller. Thank you for being here, as always, man.
Transporter lock. It's just not happening.
Power up the tractor beam. We'll pull them directly into the docking bay.
Diaz, you good to run the tractor emitter?
Yes, sir.
Still got that scar.
I'm sure.
The Grayson, name of the shuttle there.
Come on, Diaz. First thing, lock onto the shuttle and stabilize the rotation.
Okay. Hello, Muppet. Muppet features, of course, by the way.
We're pulling in debris.
I'm on it.
Use the tractor beam to deflect the asteroids. And keep it in. Okay, come on. You're good with Muppet. Brilliant. That can be your new name now. You are officially the Muppet. Nothing wrong with Muppets.
That's gonna take out the shuttle. Diaz, the bridge. There's a large piece of debris headed for the shuttle. The tractor beam can't handle it.
Can our shields take it?
I believe so.
Commander Rydek, plot an intercept course.
On it.
Okay. Muppet features. I'm trying to think what Muppet would suit me best.
Here we go.
I don't know. I mean, is it a Gonzo? Is it a...
Maneuvering.
I was going to say a Kirk. I mean Kermit. Obviously the Star Trek's having an impact.
Got it.
Whoa! Someone's working hard on the bridge.
Harley Quinn says, hi Saber, hi Muppet, hi Muller. Hello, Harley Quinn. Get that shuttle. Muppet features, I love Gonzo and Muppets Christmas Carol. That is the best Muppets.
We got the shuttlecraft on board.
Good job. We're on our way down to meet them.
Okay, let's see. Who's in the shuttle? Rizzo. Yeah, Rizzo's cool. Oh, it's a Vulcan.
Firma, so to speak.
Oh, it's Spock.
Ambassador Spock.
We got Spock.
The captain will be right down to meet you, sir.
In that case, I will wait for him here.
Ooh, didn't expect to see Spock. I knew it was a Vulcan, but I didn't realize it was Spock.
Apologies for the landing, Ambassador. I was operating the tractor beam, sir. I take responsibility.
It was not the smoothest transit, but you got us here safely. That is what matters. We thought we were prepared for our arrival in Hotari space, but it is evident my craft was not sufficiently robust for such intense ionic activity.
The storm has been pretty intense.
There was an element that was most unusual. Before you came to our aid, our maneuvering thrusters and impulse engines were rendered inoperable. So we attempted a short traversal at warp speed, only to find that we could not achieve warp at all, even though our diagnostics computer showed no faults or anomalies.
Ooh, that's curious.
When all indications say that warp speed is possible, but in practice, we find it is not.
Now, onboard diagnostics can be wrong. I can take a closer look at your shuttle systems to get to the bottom of it.
I would appreciate that.
Take readings, run some additional diagnostic checks, and we'll get to the bottom of this.
Quite logical, Petty Officer...
Carter Diaz. Sir.
Hello, Raza.
Thank you.
Welcome to the stream, dudes. I hope you are doing well.
Excuse me.
I'm honored to have you aboard. I'd like to get right to it. We're already behind.
He's buzzing he got to meet Spock. A provocation to war. Ooh, that sounds ominous.
Ambassador Spock, my senior staff.
Muppet Feature says you're buzzing at Spook.
Not every day that a captain gets to welcome a Startrek legend.
I'm more excited that it's Spock.
You flatter me, Captain Solano. But legend implies the past tense, whereas I am very much focused on our present circumstances.
I didn't mean to suggest you were stuck in the past. You're right, Ambassador. Not the most diplomatic choice of words.
Your experience comes from the past. But our present situation calls for it.
True enough.
Well said. There you go. Save the day there.
We got the basics.
And yeah, it's really cool to be playing a Star Trek game, but it's always especially cool when there's actual known characters in it.
And the tension between them grows fiercer by the hour. Ilidia and Hotari.
I'd assume there's probably a couple more in it as it goes along.
Ilidians are the more advanced species. They made first contact with the Hotari over a century ago. This is Tau, the Hotari moon. It is rich in dilithium, and for decades, the Hotari and the Ilidians have shared a mining operation there. The Ilidians provide the technological resources, while the Hotari have served as the labor force. The stability of that arrangement was the source of their peace, until recently. The Hotari have suddenly and forcefully seized control of the mining operations and expelled the Ilidians from their system. That is the official story.
Raz says the guy with the ears and bad haircut is the face of Star Trek.
But the details remain scant.
I mean, they all have ears. But I know who you mean, and yes, he is.
Ionic interference.
Have the Ilidians retaliated against the Hotari? Or taken any action against them?
Surprisingly, they have not yet responded in kind. They were open to a Federation presence. But it is unlikely the relatively primitive Hotari forces would stand a chance against the Ilidian fleet.
Raza says, great video on Rainbow Road. Thank you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Conflict will result in more bloodshed, which is
hopefully others do too, mate.
And the dilithium trade hangs in the balance.
Clearly the Hotari have been exploited in this relationship.
Maybe we can persuade them peace is the more profitable alternative for everyone. They both profit.
I've never actually liked the Rainbow Road tracks as much as everyone else, to be honest.
Peace is our objective, after all.
We can call it profitable or mutually beneficial, but at the end of the day, the Hotari are still being exploited for their own resources.
True peace is not merely the absence of war. And as such, this conflict will surely come again.
Neither the Ilidians or the Hotari are members of the Federation, so we can't make them do anything.
There is an additional complicating factor I should mention. In the past, the Federation has relied on the Ilidians as a source of dilithium.
That certainly changes things.
Federation sources its dilithium from a lot of places.
Yeah, and this is one of them.
We could use that as leverage with the Ilidians. They'll want the Federation to continue buying from them.
There might be something to that, Commander.
Putting that on the table could make the Hotari more hostile.
Given the Federation's involvement,
looks like we've got Spock involved now. You see his face appear in the corner there.
I must make every effort to appear neutral in these negotiations.
What worries me is if this whole thing unravels and we're at the mercy of the storm at less than full strength.
We can't let it come to that.
Considering what the Ion Storm has done to our ship and the Ambassador's shuttle, we have to assume the Ilidian fleet has had problems with it as well. This recent surge in the energy disturbance temporarily levels the playing field.
Unless their ships are already
Commander
used to it.
Westbrook is correct. The energy anomalies around the Hotari systems have been noted in the past. But they have never been observed on the orders of magnitude we have seen in recent weeks.
That may answer why the Hotari were able to strike back after so long. They finally had an opportunity, and they took it.
That would also explain the Ilidians' restraint.
And reason to learn as much about the energy anomaly as we can while we are here. We do not want to be caught at a disadvantage of our own.
Well said, Spock.
So I trust we understand our circumstances.
We're operating on a strict timetable here, and we're going to be leaving for the negotiations shortly. Commander Westbrook, I want you to leverage our systems to investigate the anomaly from here while we're gone.
Aye, Captain.
Thank you all.
Dismissed.
I want to speak to both of you privately.
Oh, Spock wants to
Ambassador
speak
Spock,
to me.
I'd like to make a formal introduction. My first officer, Commander Jara Rydek.
Commander, as you are aware, there are limits to what Captain Solano and I can do in our official capacity as representatives of the Federation. But someone in an unofficial capacity, your first officer, for example, would not be bound by those restrictions. Commander Rydek could ingratiate herself to certain parties behind the scenes. where they may be more candid in revealing information that could lead to
Pretty
a
sure she's still in an official capacity.
She certainly goes her own way. Maybe that helps in this case.
I'm perfectly happy to work outside the lines.
And by extension, you will be doing your duty, Commander.
Just not too far outside the lines. Well, I hope Commander Ryder...
So every time you see the little green square or the green lines outside of a character, it's basically indicating they're happy with me. If it's red, they're not happy with something I said.
May very well depend on it.
Raza says, do you think in heaven there's Rainbow Road? I'm thinking more some Moo Moo Meadows, mate. Heaven is full of Moo Moo Meadows.
Mr. Diaz, I understand you have already discussed the warp drive failure with Ambassador Spock?
I have.
It is imperative that the Ambassador's shuttle be flight ready. I need you both to ascertain the root cause of the system failures he encountered.
I'm surprised, Commander. I thought you would have wanted to work on Ambassador Spock's shuttle yourself.
I respect the Ambassador and his many accomplishments, but I do not derive any satisfaction from interacting with his shuttle as if it were somehow transubstantiated through its association with him. Especially when I have the entirety of this starship to concern myself with.
When you look at it logically, yes, it is just a shuttle. No different than any of the others.
There is plenty that is different about it, and that is what you are to investigate. But please limit your findings to observable
And
scientific
yes,
phenomena.
I have seen Big Trouble in Little China. Not for a long time,
Then I
though.
will leave you to it. Make note of any abnormalities in your report.
That was a question from Raza, by the way. I wasn't just having some sort of random outburst.
Yeah.
Even Chovok has to look at that face and know you've earned some real respect. And I have to admit that I owe you one. You were right to make me go first. I don't know what I was thinking.
You've pulled me out of trouble how many times? Call it even.
Raza says it's the greatest movie of all time, better than Breakfast Club.
Least, maybe I can track down
That's
that
high
bottle
praise coming
story
from you,
you're
mate.
still on the hook for. But first, we have work to do.
I don't know about better than Star Wars.
Set. Let's run the diagnostic.
Why can't I? There we go. Upper Feature says, never seen Breakfast Club. I don't know that I have either. If I have, it was a long time ago.
With Miranda.
You do?
She sent me a Priority 1 dispatch right after your conversation. I'm happy for
It's
you.
an eyebrow and a half going
Both
there.
of you.
Thanks.
But I'm only going to tell you this once. Don't screw this up. Because I would be very unhappy if you tried this out and then, I don't know, 6 weeks or 6 days later, I have to start splitting holidays between the two of you. All because things went south and you're not on speaking terms. That just isn't gonna work for me. And I know you'll respect that.
You really don't believe in me, huh?
It's not you. Or her. Just running the numbers, and things don't work out more often than they do. I like my friends, and I like our group. I don't want to lose that.
You're trapped on board a ship.
Yeah,
Who else is he going to
let's wrap
hook
it
up with?
Let's see. The relays along the primary EPS are blown. The backup relays are all intact.
An EPS overload from the warp drive could cause that. But how did the shuttle end up dead in the water?
Huh. Well, maybe the ship's data recorder can tell us something. Here.
They were only about 8 minutes from their plotted warp point. No faults, just those warnings. What are they?
Strange.
Subspace variance out of tolerance. What does that mean?
Wes says, wait, he is hooking up the chicks on this ship.
Going offline cause that?
Yes, but it should have also thrown a
I mean, he's got a cool face scar. He's got to get some action. What am I meant to be doing? There we go.
The warp field became inverted suddenly.
I've seen this happen when the center warp coil cracks.
A cracked warp coil throws a fault code.
Still, we should take a look.
You like this game now because he's fucking up.
Wow, they're lucky the shuttle.
Dating in space.
Makes me think the computer panicked on the warp field equation.
Any one of these.
Oh, they do a lot of hooking up in Star Trek land, mate.
It was caused by a system failure.
None of this caused the relays to blow. Roll forward to when that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, they take a moment to get their bearings and they attempt to re-engage the warp drive.
There. That's the relays blowing.
And look, there's another warp system alert.
They're all the same. Subspace variance out of tolerance, or warp inversions. Finally, there's a complete warp cascade failure.
Then it's one of two things. Either a warp coil is cracked, or the navigation array is offline.
That makes sense.
Divide and conquer. You want to check the warp coils or the navigation array? I'll check the other.
What should I do?
Let's not overcomplicate this. One of these systems is likely broken.
I'll go warp coils.
I'll check the nacelles for a cracked coil.
Raz says, mate, I'll be shooting off. Do a second attempt at Mario Run. Sounds like a good plan, mate. When's it got to be done by again? Deep scan. May the 15th. Okay, we've got plenty of time. The standby state. Don't know what the heckins I'm meant to be doing here. In their standby state, warp cores produce a residual electron field, no deviation. Oh. Biological scan mode. Chemical. Radiation. Biological scan. Nothing. Chemical scan. Ooh. That'll do it. I will be aiming to get a decent run, although I don't think I'll be doing a fantastic one. Super Mario World was never one of my best ones. But
it's not.
I'll give it the old college try.
Well, the readings don't lie.
Here comes the security detail for the way team.
Hey.
I'm not here.
We're escorting the negotiating team to the surface as soon as they come down from the bridge. I don't want to interrupt some important work. I was just hoping to see you before I go. The captain and the others will be here any minute now. Should be an interesting ride down to the surface.
You're the one with the important job to do. Keeping the captain safe. And Ambassador Spock.
It doesn't always feel that way. Baking in the hot sun, standing guard next to an empty shuttlecraft. But it has its moments.
Hey, Maris. Aren't these those button pushers you're always hanging out with?
And you're the phaser jockeys we always beat in Parisi squares, right?
Oh, you scamps and you're flirting.
That another one of the captain's railroad things?
Gotta be. I just usually zone out by the time he gets to the whole, steam engines were the warp drives of their day part. Catch y'all later.
You don't want to miss your train.
Go on, guys, get to it.
I do have to go. Not gonna lie, I'd rather not leave right now. More important things on my mind.
Go for it. Go on, dude. That is the blandest kiss in history.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Save some of that for when I get back.
Oh my.
You've got a deal.
Be seeing you.
Got a little kiss trophy.
Etzelar de Diaz. If you could float back down to reality, we still have a ways to go. All right, where were we?
So, the warp coils in the navigation array are fine, but the nav computer doesn't seem to think so.
I'm out of ideas short of field stripping the shuttle from bow to stern.
You wanna take this out of the shuttle and throw it on the bench?
Oh, real hands-on maintenance. I like it. Okay, the nav computer is patched into the ship.
The ship's computer can double-check our work. If the shuttle's nav computer is putting out false data, we'll know it.
Let's run through the shuttle's logs again.
Running now.
Okay, let's see what this is.
Same. Warp field inversion and a cascade failure. However, the Resolute computer doesn't show the same subspace variance.
We're in the same conditions that the shuttle was in when it failed. Why wouldn't the ship's computer get a matching result?
What if
because the shenanigans
subspace variance was a momentary occurrence?
That's a possibility, and it would explain why the simulation under our current sensor readings failed to reproduce the issue.
But a subspace anomaly strong enough to cause a warp field collapse would leave graviton ripples for days.
Let's run with the momentary subspace variance theory for now. Roll forward to the shuttle's attempt to re-engage the warp drive. We need the conditions of space around the shuttle at the moment of warp failure.
Resuming simulation.
Okay.
Error in warp field calculation. Cochrane formula variables are out of range.
That right there. Take the shuttle sensor data from that moment.
Computer, why did the warp field calculation fail?
Warp field pressure returned non-orthogonal. Results are undefined.
That doesn't help.
Wait, what if we use a different ship?
Put the Resolute into the simulation instead of the shuttle.
Yeah, it should warp just fine. Unless... Computer, run the simulation with the Resolute.
Resolute simulated.
Computer, give me manual control on the warp power.
Static field intensity, warp 1.1. 1.2. 3. Warp pressure is destabilizing.
Okay.
Error in warp field calculation. The warp drive has experienced a system-wide cascade failure. Warp field collapsed. Subspace variance is out of tolerance. Cochrane formula results are undefined.
Bingo.
What-o?
The same moment when the shuttle failed to warp, so did the ship. Whatever happened to the shuttle just happened to us. The Resolute will not sustain warp.
We can't leave Hotari space.
Oh. Well, that's kind of troubling. Guess we're going down to the planet.
Ambassador Spock, Captain Solano, welcome to Hotari. We are honored you've come. My name is Tylos Altaris, Minister of Diplomatic Affairs.
The honor is ours. And this is Commander Jara Rydick, first officer aboard the USS Resolute. You'll find she has a keen mind and unique insight into the dynamics between the Hotari and the Lydians.
It's very nice to meet you.
Likewise. I hope...
These must be the representatives of the mighty Federation. The reigning authority in the galaxy. Or so we've been led to believe. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. But, either way, we're grateful you've made the time to come to our little corner of the universe.
And you are?
This is Galvin, and this is Citron, the heroes of the revolt in the mines.
Oh, that's a snarl. Ah, for these people.
Let's hope this is the last time we ever have to come here.
If you'll excuse me.
This looks like it's going to be problematic.
I think we're about to begin.
Did you hear the arrogance from that guy?
Look who's
I don't know what
talking.
we're walking into here. But that guy was something.
That may be true. But let's keep an open mind going into the negotiations. Hopefully he's just one voice amongst many.
Then let's hope he's the outlier.
The Hotari have invited us as their guests, so we must show them the proper respect.
Well said, Spock. Can always count on Spock.
Ambassador Spock, welcome to Hotari Prime.
The honor is mine, Your Majesty.
That the Federation would send one of their most respected representatives is not only an honor to the Hotari people and their queen, but recognition of our stature and importance.
Let's get on with it, shall we? With all due respect to the Federation and their ambassador, they have no authority here. We are not members of their alliance. We are not subject to their rule, nor yours. We demand the immediate return of all mining operations to Lydian control, as it has been for centuries and will be for centuries more. That has always been our understanding.
That understanding has changed.
Then you invite war.
And if you cannot remain silent, you will be silenced.
Ooh.
This point is well taken. What is the Federation's interest in this matter? Perhaps you would have us trade one oppressor for another?
The Federation remains neutral. Our only interest is the peaceful resolution of this conflict. We are here at your request, Your Majesty.
For now.
I'm trying to keep an open mind here, but it's not easy. I thought they wanted us here.
Was there something you wanted to say, Captain?
Oh, no. My apologies.
And what about the Kobliard?
Oh.
She's not
She can speak for herself, can't she? Then let her.
Okay. Let's see what I've got to say.
Now then, what is your name?
Commander Jara Rydek, Your Majesty.
Being a Kobliad, you would know better than anyone. Your people suffered brutal treatment at the hands of the Cardassians. Their injustice towards the Kobliad is as unimaginable as it is unforgivable. Not unlike how we have been treated by the Elidians.
As much as they'd have you believe they are the victims here, remember it was the Hotari who attacked us. Hundreds of innocent Elidians were slaughtered without mercy in those mines.
Definitely Harley Quinn drama.
Quiet!
Ooh.
If after all the Kobliad suffered, you finally had the chance to right that wrong, to get out from under their control, would you take it? Or would you negotiate a peace?
I can't speculate on something that never happened, Your Majesty. Sadly, that opportunity never came for the Kobliad.
No, it did not. But we'd be wise to learn from their example, before we too find ourselves facing extinction. The Federation is the most powerful, most advanced alliance in the galaxy. It's widely known we have an abundance of dilithium in our mines. And it's in your interest to secure a steady supply.
Your Majesty, if I may.
Ambassador Spock would have us believe you're here as a neutral party in the interest of peace. So why are you really here? I want the truth, not your Federation rhetoric.
It's possible the Federation has an interest in both peace and securing a steady source of dilithium. One does not preclude or prevent the other. But that's just my personal opinion.
Given the Federation has done business with the Elidians for decades, I would agree. It's entirely possible, if not highly likely.
What they haven't said, but
They didn't seem happy with what I said.
The dilithium trade would not and will no longer exist without Elidian involvement. We created it for the benefit of everyone, especially the Hotari. We've given them warp technology. We've let them share in the profits. We've made their lives infinitely better than before dilithium was discovered. All of that goes away if the Federation turns a blind eye to their treachery.
That is enough of your lies!
Oh dear.
The Hotari are quite capable of running the mines. We've done so for centuries. So tell me, who deserves control of the dilithium trade and the mines on Tau?
Oh dear God, don't put this on me.
The Federation recognize? The Hotari or the Elidians? It can only be one or the other, not both.
If I have to choose only one, then it would have to be the Hotari.
Well said.
Oh, this is going to cause all kinds of trouble.
Wise Federation, make any other choice.
This is an outrage. The Federation has lost all credibility.
The mines are ours. Lydia will not be deterred. We will take back our mines by any means necessary.
And you will see more blood spilled.
I am more than willing to address your concerns, Your Majesty. Yours as well, Representative. But I suggest we could have a more productive conversation with a smaller group. Perhaps only the most essential representatives.
I suppose there is some sense to that.
Whew, okay. Managed to stave off an absolute war for a couple of seconds. Why do I feel like whatever I decided,
I hope we meet again, Jara Ryder.
I would have caused an absolute thunderstorm. They are not happy with me.
Spock and I will cover everything on the diplomatic front. You make nice with the locals and see if you can get some answers. We need to find out why the Hotari are so willing to risk war. What happened in those mines?
Okay, let's do some investigations. Let's have a look at the... I don't know how they live on this planet.
Commander, I'm glad you've chosen to side with the Hotari. I knew the Federation would see through the Elydians' baseless claims and protect the interests of my people.
Even though the Hotari should have control of the mines, some of the Elydian claims are still valid.
There you're wrong, but we can agree to disagree.
I assume you were there the day the mines were seized from the Elydians.
Not seized. Reclaimed.
And it is on their moon, or their planet.
Yes, I was there. We had to be decisive, before the Elydians could even realize their worst nightmares upon them.
Did you have help from someone else?
Hotari stands alone against the Elydian forces. We don't need help from anyone. They respect one thing above all else, and that is force. The greater the force, the more certain the outcome. Any talk of making peace is just that, and worth little without the strength to secure it. Which makes me wonder about your ship, the Resolute. Undoubtedly the Federation's finest warship. Ready to contend with anything the Elydians might have in store. Or is that not true? Maybe I've misjudged it.
I wouldn't say state-of-the-art, but the Resolute is plenty capable and can hold its own against just about anything.
Let's hope so. Because at the moment, it's the only thing preventing them from wiping us off the map.
That doesn't fill me with confidence.
Sidron.
A pleasure meeting you, Commander. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Let's see what everyone else has to say.
Soothing.
Appreciate water. That was actually the option there.
Commander Rydek, I'm encouraged to see the Federation supporting my people. I'm afraid of what might happen without your help.
I'm glad to hear it. I just hope you're not the only one who feels that way.
I apologize for that. These are unusual times, to say the least. Much is changing. I saw you speaking with Sidron, our national hero. I'm curious, what did he say?
He seems to be of the opinion that negotiating for peace is a waste of time.
Because force is the only blunt instrument he understands. He's a miner, not a diplomat. For the first time in our history, the Hotari have the upper hand. We see ourselves as strong instead of downtrodden. New voices have risen up. Old voices shouted down. Galvin and Sidron have become national heroes. Now, they have the Queen's ear. Better or worse, depending on your perspective.
I assume they've taken your place.
I was one of the Queen's most trusted advisors. And I hope to prove myself worthy of being so again. Which is why you're here.
Ah, so that was her idea.
My fear has been that the Illidians will launch an attack and crush us. You've seen their starship, no doubt. They could have retaken the mines whenever they wanted to. But it never happened. And as strange as this may sound, I'd almost say they're afraid. I just don't know what they're afraid of. It's still the same bluster and bravado you would expect from them. But it has no teeth. Like they're afraid of what might happen.
Was it for fear of the repercussions, once the Federation became part of the equation?
Possibly. But I almost want to say this was from the very start. Before engaging the Federation was even on the table. Since the day of the revolt, Galvin has seized control of the mines and restricted all access. No one's allowed without his personal authorization. And they've taken over a section of the palace with just as much secrecy and security. I'm told it could be something they brought back from the mines. I've made inquiries, but everyone pretends it doesn't exist. I strongly suspect they're hiding something.
Are you sure of this?
It's been the talk of the palace since the day of the revolt.
How can we know?
Maybe these guys aren't the innocent ones after all.
I'd better see what's happening.
Do you think you can find out what they're hiding? I need to see proof of something before I can make my case to the Federation.
I can try, but even if I found it, I might not know what to make of it.
Take this. You can use it to capture whatever you find, and then send it to me.
Now, I need to go and speak to the other side. I don't mean the afterworld, by the way.
And I look forward to our meeting again.
The Alarian?
Sorry, I couldn't help but notice you were speaking with the Hotari this whole time. I figured in the interest of fairness, I should offer another perspective.
Of course.
I'm probably not telling you anything you don't already know, but these negotiations rely on the Federation's neutrality, as does any hope you might have for a supply of dilithium in the future. So, why you would choose to side with the Hotari escapes me. Without Illidian involvement, there is no dilithium trade. But clearly, you weren't aware.
Of all my concerns, dilithium is not one of them. I could care less about securing a supply, now or in the future.
I'd be curious to know if the rest of the Federation shares your indifference. Major Solid Arminta, Special Attaché, Illidian Armed Forces. Pleasure to meet you, Commander. I have my issues with the Hotari, but I have to give them some credit. They know how to seize an opportunity.
Almost respects them.
Inciting an uprising the same day as a massive, once-in-a-lifetime ion storm.
Our assumption was that this storm was just an anomaly.
Yes, a very convenient anomaly. At least, that was what we were told. Of course, I wasn't there. But who am I to say otherwise?
Something tells me there's more to the story. So what really happened?
Well, the official story is that it was the storm that enabled the revolt. How else do a bunch of unarmed, unorganized miners seize control of an entire moon, much less thousands of mines? But I've talked to people who were there. They tell a different story. They say they're lucky to have escaped with their lives. That it was more than just the storm. That somehow the miners were able to harness the energy from the storm. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not even sure I believe it myself. But that's what they said.
You just answered your own question. How do a group of miners do something that in theory can't be done? That's how. Harnessing the storm.
But even if it's true, how does that even happen?
You tell me.
If you'll excuse me, Commander Ryder.
Okay. Yeah, it's a nice banner.
They seem proud of their culture. Pride can lead to rash action.
Let's go find the captain then.
Well, that was a disaster.
What happened?
The Hotari refused to concede anything, so the Elydians stormed out.
The Hotari did not invite us here as peacekeepers. I hope your efforts were more fruitful than ours.
We're here as security. Bodyguards or something.
Gravitational harmonics failing to resolve. Warp bubble stability degrading. Increase output to maximum.
Increasing warp output to maximum.
It's happening again.
It is evident that presently, the Resolute cannot achieve warp propulsion.
Since our diagnostics rule out any problems with our warp systems or anything about the ship, the problem appears to be the fabric of space itself.
Space itself? You're saying something about this region of space prevents warp travel?
It's happened before.
Prevents it, or can't sustain it.
However improbable, that appears to be the case.
We need to know more.
Well, couldn't we slowboat it out of here at impulse speed?
It may come to that, but we don't know how far this warp dead zone extends. Captain Solano is on his way back from the negotiations, and I want to have some answers for him when he gets here.
Indeed. Given the facts at hand, we may be able to deploy subspace probes around the ship to construct a clearer picture of the phenomenon.
Around the ship. I'll prep a shuttle.
Okay. There's a new chapter, so I am going to call it there. Let's take a little look. Yeah, about 50 minutes. That's a standard Star Trek episode, to be fair. So, I want to give a quick thank you to Muller Arcade Fights, to Muppet Features, to Harley Quinn, and to Razza is Retro for swinging by for this stream. This is officially my last stream as a 44-year-old. Tomorrow it is the big 4-5 for me. But this has been fun. It's been nice, and it's been cool to see Spock join the story. So we will continue this one in our next stream. I hope everyone has a fantastic night, fantastic day tomorrow, and whatever you're going to be doing. I might try and do a little bit of a birthday stream tomorrow. Can't promise, just in case other things end up happening, but I might do. Other than that, guys, I hope everyone is doing well, and of course, enjoy your gaming and take the high ground.